Thank you for joining us for our radio call this afternoon. Secretary Vilsack is going to be announcing new private funds to invest in rural businesses, and he's going to be joined on the phone by the firms that are managing the funds, and one is Jan Boughton, who is a partner at Innova Memphis, and Grady Vanderhoeven, who is a partner at Meritus Kirchner Capital. If you'd like to ask a question of our panel members, please, reporters, let us know by pressing *1 on your touch-tone pad. Now we turn to Secretary Vilsack. Good afternoon. It seems we are trying to bring up Secretary Vilsack, but he will be coming on, and of course...
Sorry, Susan.
Are you here?
Yep, got it.
Okay.
Appreciate the opportunity to be with you this afternoon, and certainly appreciate the folks from Innova Memphis and Meritus Kirchner Capital. Certainly excited about the announcement that we're making today. The goal of our efforts in the rural development space is to create more economic opportunity, better paying jobs, and improve the quality of life for those who live, work, and raise their families in rural areas. The values that we are focused on are partnership, leverage, and creativeness in the use of government resources and government authorities. Last year, we announced the development of the Rural Opportunity Investment Fund, which was a $10 billion commitment by CoBank. And we are now working with CoBank to partner on a series of infrastructure projects as well as community facility projects. We also took a look at how we might be able to attract more equity capital to rural businesses with the establishment of rural business investment companies. USDA has the responsibility for authorizing and essentially licensing these RBICs. We provide technical assistance. We don't provide resources, but we do target and require that these rural business investment companies target their investments in rural areas. Today we announced the development and the authorization of 2 additional RBICs to join Advantage Capital, which was announced last year. Innova Memphis is a RBIC that will be funded up to $25 million with a focus on the life sciences. With a particular interest in the Mid-South and Delta region, an economic opportunity in that part of the country. Meritus is going to be focused on the Appalachian region, and it has announced its intention to be a $100 million fund. These 2 funds join Advantage Capital and will, once fully operational, provide now $225 million of additional equity capital for investments in small businesses like Iowa Cage Free in Iowa. Advantage Capital invested in that company several months ago, or American Botanicals from Missouri, which received an equity investment from Advantage Capital recently. What this will do is it creates just another tool in the toolbox for companies that want to locate or expand or create business opportunity, are interested in having an equity partner. They now will be having the opportunity through the Farm Credit backed funds, an opportunity to do so. So we're excited about this opportunity, and we certainly appreciate the folks from Innova and Meritus being willing to step up, doing the hard work of creating these funds and then investing in small businesses that will add jobs and add significant opportunity in rural areas. With that, I'd be happy to turn it over to the folks from Innova or Meritus for any comments they might have.
Thank you, Secretary Vilsack. This is Grady Vanderhoeven with Meritus Kirchner. I'd like to begin by thanking Secretary Vilsack and the U.S. Department of Agriculture for their leadership in this endeavor, for facilitating the creation of these new RBICs, and for managing what has been a rigorous and extensive review and approval process. We are very pleased to have reached this significant milestone of conditional approval and to now be in a position to begin the formal fundraising process for Meritus Kirchner. The launch of these 2 RBICs really is a testament to the tenacity of Secretary Vilsack and the folks at USDA, who have continued to seek mechanisms to drive private capital into rural America. The most recent PwC NVCA Money Tree report indicates that in the first quarter of this year, more than 60% of the venture capital in the United States was invested on the West Coast, and the vast majority of that capital was invested in California. The report further asserts that approximately 27% of the venture capital in the country was invested in the northeastern region of the United States. If you aggregate all of the venture capital invested in the southeast, southwest, midwest, north central, and south central regions of the country, it totals approximately 9% of total venture capital investment. So clearly the distribution of investment across the country, this type of growth capital, it's not evenly distributed. We're enthusiastic about opportunities in rural and agricultural areas and companies, which historically have not had access or have had very limited access to this type of capital. Our experience indicates that for those who are willing to dig and sift and search and seek, there are exceptional opportunities in these areas. And for those with the networks and the experience necessary to support the companies in which investments are made. So we're very enthusiastic about this opportunity. We invest in places like Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and Greenville, South Carolina, and Cabot, Arkansas. And we look for deals in places like Oklahoma and Ohio and West Virginia. We are growth capital investors. We are not financial engineers. We are not lenders. We finance growth. We invest in revenue growth, and that creates wealth and jobs. And we are very enthusiastic about raising and investing Meritus Kirchner and really appreciate the opportunity to participate. Thank you.
Thanks, Grady. John?
Thanks, Grady, and thanks, Secretary. We're also very pleased to have been selected to participate in this program, and really want to have a shout-out to the people at USDA and FCA to the countless hours that they've spent reviewing our 200-page application. The Innova Ag Innovation Fund is going to be managed by Innova Memphis, and it will be our fourth venture capital fund in this family of funds. The fund will focus on making seed and early stage investments in technology-based startups in rural America. Innova has been around since 2007, and we've got a strong track record in investing in early stage companies. It's always been very important to us and our success to work with partners to develop an entrepreneurial ecosystem. In the Memphis area, we continue to be a key component of the Memphis Bioworks Foundation's innovation-driven economic development strategy. Through these partners, and in this case for this fund, again Memphis Bioworks, but also the Ag Innovation Development Group, Innova will leverage best practices and establish a strong national network to reach the best technologies and ideas. Together also with the Tennessee Department of Agriculture, we are developing the Ag Launch Initiative, which is going to serve as a framework for building rural innovation communities across the country. These initiatives will result in great investment opportunities for our fund, but also for the investors throughout the country. We believe that over the next 10 years, these innovation and technology-based companies will have great economic impact on rural America and the country as a whole. Again, thank you, Secretary Vilsack, for allowing us to be part of this great initiative. And we look forward to working with your department and the other ARBICs to make this a great success.
Thanks very much to both of you. And Susan, with that, I'll be glad to take questions.
All right, we have Larry Hagstrom from the Hagstrom Report as our first caller on the line. Jerry, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I have two questions. First of all, could you explain the role of USDA in creating these, in the sense that can USDA create a financial company? Don't they have to go to other regulators to be organized in such a way that that this is all on the up and up from a legal standpoint? And secondly, could you talk about the need for this compared to the more traditional method of investment in rural America, which has been co-ops? What does this do that co-ops don't?
Jerry, let me respond to those questions as best I can. I would say, first of all, our responsibility at USDA is to, first and foremost, to provide technical assistance and help in the development of applications and to review those applications and then to essentially give our stamp of approval so that in turn with our stamp of approval funds can go out with the farm credit system and allow the farm credit system to essentially finance these funds. So essentially we're authorizing an approval process. We don't provide funds. We provide technical assistance and essentially our stamp of approval. That then allows them to go to regulated entities and obtain the resources that are then invested in companies. This is just another tool in the tool chest. We want a wide array of tools that can be used to make investments in rural areas. The traditional commercial lending tool is assisted by USDA through our guarantee program. We have in the past provided some assistance in terms of grants. We have created this partnership with CoBank where we will be co-lending on projects. The RBICs provide equity funding. Co-ops are essentially farmers coming together, putting together their resources and then essentially investing those resources in a business that is directly related to their farming operation. It may be a dairy processing facility. It may be an ethanol production facility. This is slightly different because these companies have greater latitude. These funds have greater latitude to invest in small businesses across the board. They aren't necessarily restricted or limited. They are looking for, as was indicated, growth opportunities. They're looking for early stage investments. Basically getting in on the ground level, and then over time seeing a company they invest in grow and eventually generate profit either through income from the company or through the sale of their interest at some point. And we at USDA are interested in working with these companies because most of our programs don't allow for direct investment at USDA in early startups. We are more focused on companies that have basically performing technologies, accepted technologies that are in the marketplace. So they can hand the ball off to us, so to speak, as they mature, as these companies mature. So it's really about having a series of tools in our tool chest, so depending upon whatever circumstance an entrepreneur presents to us, we at USDA or through these funds can provide help and assistance for investment in rural areas, which leads to better paying jobs, higher quality of life, and a spirit of entrepreneurship that's obviously necessary and needed in rural areas.
Let's continue with our callers on the line. Gary DiGiuseppe with Arkansas Radio Network, and reporters, please I want to remind you to press *1 if you'd like to get in on the conversation. Gary.
Thank you. The person from Meritus Kirchner mentioned Cabot, Arkansas. So I'd like to know what you're doing in Cabot, Arkansas, and whether either of you are doing anything else in Arkansas.
Yes, we spend a fair amount of time in Arkansas, frankly, looking for deals. Our previous rural business investment company, Meritus Ventures, actually made an investment in Cabot, Arkansas, in a company called Arkansas Automatic Sprinkler. And so we have spent a fair amount of time in all regions of Arkansas looking for deals. We have relationships with a number of people in Arkansas and have every expectation and intention that our new fund will actively be seeking deals in Arkansas.
All righty, reporters, once again, if you'd like to ask a question, please let us know by pressing *1 on your touch-tone pad. I'd like to know what stage is the first RBIC, and have any of the investments already begun?
Susan, I'll answer that question. Advantage Capital was the first RBIC in some time that USDA had a role in authorizing. And they established a $100 million fund, and they have made two investments, one in a company located in Iowa, Iowa Cage Free, which is a company that's involved in providing new technologies to laying operations in Iowa, which is the largest producer of eggs in the country. This is a technology that allows folks to have more productivity, and so they've invested in that company. And then they made a second investment recently in a company in Missouri called American Botanicals, which is a herb processing operation that I think is focused on natural and organic markets.
Let's continue with callers on the line. Marcia, or is it Marcia Taylor from DTN?
Marcia Taylor. Yes, I understand how the Rural Infrastructure Opportunity Fund is a lending arm for rural America, but could you talk about how it meshes with these private investment funds and what kinds of investments it has been making over the last year?
The Rural Opportunity Investment Fund is a credit. It lends money to infrastructure projects and potentially business interests that are locating or expanding. It's essentially a borrowing enterprise by CoBank. It's making credit available to communities and to potentially companies. We are in the process now of cooperating and coordinating with CoBank to identify water projects that USDA would be funding through our own loan program or community facility programs that we are providing a grant or loan to, basically co-lending with CoBank. We've set as a goal to essentially close 10 water projects by the end of July of this year, have 20 lined up for further processing, hopefully by the end of the year, and then focusing on at least $100 million of joint projects on the community facility side. That might be a hospital, it might be a daycare center, it might be a school. So it's a lending operation. And what we're announcing today and what Advantage Capital is not lending, it's basically partnering. It's basically buying an interest in the company. It's investing in the company as an investor, which is obviously slightly different, and it creates, again, a wider range of options for small businesses that want to locate in rural areas, for new agricultural technologies that wish to locate in and around agricultural land. It offers another option for them to secure the capital that they may need. They can either borrow it, or they can partner with somebody who makes an investment in the company, or they can have a combination. And over time, the success of these funds will be reflected in the fact that as the businesses they invest in mature, the funds will profit and then be in a position to continue investing in new business opportunities. And USDA might then be called upon to fund to guarantee a loan or to work with a partner like CoBank to provide additional credit as these businesses get up and going and expand and do more business.
Last year, in July, the Rural Opportunity Conference took place. What came out of those meetings?
Essentially, the announcement of the Rural Opportunity Investment Fund with CoBank, and the announcement of the first RBIC was actually announced before the conference. It also created a platform for further discussions that we've been having that have resulted in a review of our portfolio, looking at ways in which we can continue to expand the number of tools that we have, better utilization of the resources that we have at USDA, more leverage options that we're considering. This is an evolving process designed to expand as many opportunities as possible to provide as much investment opportunity in rural America as possible. And remarkable statistics were shared today about how difficult it has been in the past to attract venture capital, early seed capital to small businesses that really want to locate in rural America and actually have a great business plan and a great market opportunity. And I think what the conference also did was it began the process of educating people about the fact that deals existed in rural America, and whether it's infrastructure or business opportunities.
Reporters, we invite you to press *1 to ask a question. Any more comments at all from you, Mr. Secretary, or our guests?
I just want to thank the folks from Inova and Meritus for their willingness to understand the opportunity here their appreciation for the importance of rural America and the need for attention and resources in rural America, basically verifying what we believe to be true, which is that there are opportunities and deals worthy of investment, worthy of equity investment, that there is a spirit of entrepreneurship and innovation and creativity that is alive and well in rural America. It just simply needs the capital of the U.S., which is fairly significant, to recognize the potential and to be willing to invest in it. So I want to thank the folks who are on the phone with us today.
Actually, we have some reporters that have jumped on the line. Let's go to the Farm Journal's Allison Rice.
Hi, yes. I'm wondering what sort of returns are Inova and Kirchner are looking for in terms of these investments, and how do they compare to some of their other types of industries that they've gone into?
This is great. Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
We're really looking to industry returns here. So if you look at the early stage venture capital industry overall, I think to be in the top tier, you're looking at 15+% returns year over year. So that's really what we're shooting for. It's a long-term goal, so investors with us should expect to be in this without liquidity for about 10 years. But year over year return is what we're shooting for in that range.
Meritus Kirchner, this is Grady Vanderhook. And Meritus is a growth capital investor, and our targeted returns that we're sharing with our prospective investors are 12 to 15% IRR.
Alrighty, with that, we are going to thank everyone that was on the call, the secretary and our guest, as well as those on the line, and that concludes our call for today.